What did you think of the video? It says a lot, doesn't it? It does. Well, I was, really the question we always got to ask is, who are you, right? Ephesians 1 and 2, I asked you to read that during the week. That kind of explains that. I was going to start out again just by thanking Rick again for what he does. He put this all together and spends time doing that. So, and I'd like to thank Doug, because without him, this group wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have a chance to present this. And so thank you, Doug, for doing all that you do, the countless hours he does, and not getting paid for it. So that's a lot. So thank you for what you do too. Fan or follower, that's a pretty serious question. And last week we experienced ministry at its best. And I really thought the kindness of this group last week when we gathered around Allie and prayed for her and took her hand and put her in the middle of the room on a chair and just gathered around here and prayed for her. That's ministry at its best. I mean, you can have all kinds of ministry, but that was a very special group here that would be willing to do that for her. So there's all kinds of ministry. I know Sean is in a ministry, and I don't know what all of you do, but I know John has been in prison ministry, and Janelle, what she does, the kindness of what she's doing now is huge. And I know Kendra has joined myself in the Ironman team. We go down to Pueblo on Wednesday nights and work with the youth. So that's kind of life-changing, right? Yep. And you want to make any remarks about ministry, what it does? And
when we extend ourselves into growth, into ministry, it's just a new flavor of growth. Serving brings growth, spiritual growth. When we give ourselves to another, it's a vehicle for growth.
And it feels really good.
Well, we have a sense, you have an internal sense that I'm right where the Lord wants me to be. And that is a powerful yoke between heaven and earth. So if you treasure in heaven, there your heart will be. It's kind of what he was probing into with the video clip was something I'm incredibly interested in, is identity formation. And how would we answer that question? Who are you? And I'm watching that, and I was thinking that it's so on point. And Ephesians chapter 1 and our identity in Christ, that's a goal for us all, right? Because one day we're going to be standing alone before Jesus. And it's not in that day going to be about whether or not we get to stay. Right? The question is then going to be, did I accept his call to discipleship? After I grew to a certain point, did I turn around and offer myself in service in the body of Christ in some way? Right? And then, did I grow enough in my understanding of God's word to cooperate with him in his call for my life, and not cooperate with the enemy in his schemes for his advancement?
I was going to make another comment on what we did for Allie. I just kind of put it this way. We did something together that we don't normally do in everyday life, and it was in the name of God that we did it, and it was not for ourselves, but it was for her. So we really, it was a privilege to pray for you, and we'll continue doing that, okay? You're welcome. Again, I wanted to say that the stuff that I present, it's not like I'm telling people what to believe or how to live your faith, or I don't get into that. I present something, and Jesus kind of did the same thing. He didn't force himself on anybody, but he presented God's word to everybody, right? And it's up to you to do with it as you choose and live your faith as you choose, and that's a personal relationship, right? And so I respect that. And it's really my prayer that we don't regret the 16-second. We showed a video last week where where you reach a point in life where you're going to have to, you'd be sitting at it somewhere, and all of a sudden you realize, what does your life amount to, and did you take God's word out there? Did you carry out your ministry that He's given you? And so you really, the video, if you haven't seen it, watch the 16th second, and it says a lot. So, right, were you here last week and seen that? No? Did you like it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I gotta start using my glasses. I'm going blind. Okay, the reason I do this is not only do I want to see you find your ministry and have the experiences like Sean and I and John and the others have had, but I care about you in the respect that I don't want you to miss out on all that God has for you. In the teams that I ran in the different facilities that I worked in, I conducted my team meetings with the goal of inspiring thought. That was my whole purpose in teams, was to inspire thought and to encourage individuals to discover themselves. And sometimes I had to nudge them a little bit and, get them outside their comfort zone to discover themselves and what they're capable of doing. And what happened in the meetings was designed to bring us together just like we're doing here. A couple of other reasons for what I do in prisons and the jails that I've been in is seeing the light come on in another man or woman's eyes, and I'll explain it with just a couple of things that I've experienced. When I first started ministry in Stearns County, I worked with Roy and Caroline. They're actually 90 and 93 now. They're still doing their jail ministry. They go up there every Friday night for 3 hours. He still takes her hand in the elevator and still opens the door for her, 90 years old, which I think is kind of cool. And they still do their ministry. And we had a guy that would sit in the corner, and he looked pretty beat up. Most of them do, but this guy was especially beat up. And all of a sudden one night we served donuts at the end, and here he was standing in front of me, and his hair was combed, he was smiling, he was just changed, and I was shocked. I was new to this ministry stuff, and he said, "Brian, I'd like to thank you for the first time in my life. I know what it's like to be free." Standing in the middle of the Stearns County Jail, this guy found freedom. So and the thing that people of faith understand is, what really blew me away was I could see God looking at me through that man's eyes, and I can still see those eyes. And it's just one of those things I treasure. I've been doing this for about 20 years, and there's so many examples of miracles and change, and seeing these guys go home to be husbands to their wives or fathers to their kids, and that they're going to be productive, and they're free. That word free is a big thing, because you won't find it out there. You can chase that stuff out there your whole life and end up at the kitchen table 80 years old wondering why there's nothing sitting there, and it's the 16th second. And you don't want to do that. And I don't want that for you either. So that's part of what this series is going to do. And I like being with people like Roy and Caroline. Over the years, I've been with a lot of different people doing ministry, and I've met some of the nicest people I've ever met doing ministry. They're always kind, always giving, the giving type. And I like being around people like that. And then the second reason, like I mentioned, knowing that that person is going to go home to be a husband to his wife and a father to his kids. And the biggest thing that I look at is breaking the cycle and the ripple effects. I mean, that family is going to be changed. All those cycles that have been repeating, now it's going to be changed. Those kids are going to grow up. They're going to be better. They're not going to be in trouble. They're going to have an example of a dad that came home. And so that's there's so many reasons for doing ministry, but the main thing is to break that cycle and see those ripple effects and helping someone find a thing called life. Right? Life is people don't understand what that word really means until they find Him, right? Then you find life.
The best life is the life that He would choose for us. And it also happens to be the life that will transition from this reality into eternity with us. Serving Him, we're called to be a kingdom of priests. We're called to be a royal priesthood. Romans chapter 5 and Revelation chapter 5 and verse 10 tells us that He has made us to be a kingdom of priests who rule and reign with Him forever. And so So what Brian's talking about is getting about the business that we will be involved with for eternity. No.
And I'm not trying to say everybody belongs in prison, right?
But you each are uniquely made for some call.
It might be one person, or what Janelle is doing as a ministry, or what John is doing for ministry when he's feeling better. He'll probably go back to that. And Kendra, she's joined me at Ironman, and Rick's ministry is like, yes.
You know, I was doing a Bible study about a week ago, and I came across a verse that says, in me, you can have life. And I sat down for a couple hours, and I even typed up some stuff, so it ended up being a couple days. But I said, what does it mean to have life? And I'm not going to answer that question because I think it's different for everybody. But what I came across was in the Garden of Eden, Adam lost life. And he lost life because of sin, even though he lived for over 900 years after that. The life was gone out of him. But in Jesus, we can have life. So I would just challenge everybody here to figure out what the meaning of that question is.
In the 22 years I've been doing jail ministry, and I just started prison ministry when I got to Colorado, I always start with asking the question, who wants life to change? And in 22 years, I have never not had a hand go up, ever. And I always end it with two words, find him. You know, I know what it's like to have life, and I know what it's like to be free, and I just paying it forward. It's the least I can do. So. And there's been some times too that, you know, I've been in a room, and it might sound crazy, but being in a room so full of God's power that it just blows your mind. You know, I've had that happen many times, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. You know, I was in my career. I always thought my career was so important, and all the things I achieved, but it doesn't even compare. So, I'd like to have you guys, and all of you, to experience that someday too, if you haven't already. A couple of things that I do. I also go down to the rescue mission every couple of weeks. A friend of mine and I, we take a bag of clothes down there, some Bibles and some devotionals. If someone would want to be interested in experience that, let me know afterwards. And I also mentor a guy at the rescue mission, and the mission does need a few more mentors, and that's completely up to you. Like I said, your ministry is between you and your Creator. You want to go ahead and start that, Rick?
Previously, I'm not a fan.
That word defines what it means to follow Jesus. We die to ourselves and follow him, recommending your